In this video, I'm going to share with you a strategy that took my Amazon ads from losing money to being profitable. This is not about having a better keyword or higher budget or maybe running external social media traffic from TikTok or Instagram to my book listing page. In fact, a lot of beginner publishers have completely overlooked at this simple strategy, and it could be costing you hundreds of dollars per month in your ad account. Hey everyone, this is Laura, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're currently running Amazon KDP ads and are losing money, or maybe you're about to publish your first book and thinking about your ad strategy, then this video is definitely for you. Anyways, let's get into it. So here's what happens when most beginners do when they first launch the books on Amazon. You're simply going to wait until your book goes live and then run ads to your book immediately. So either your book is going to get very little impressions with no clicks, or maybe a bunch of impressions with some random clicks here and there. And then, or maybe simply you're getting a bunch of random clicks with no sale. Either way, this is super frustrating experience, and the list goes on. Okay, so why does this even happen then? Well, before you even start running ads on Amazon, you've got to understand that not everyone pays for the same cost per click, even though you guys might be bidding for the same keyword. Okay, so for example, in this situation, our keyword is keto diet for beginners. Your competitor might be paying 50 cents per click, and you might end up paying 80 cents per click. And the reason is simply due to conversion rate, right? So for example, a book with much better book cover is definitely going to convert much better, right? With better keyword density in the titles and subtitles, that is going to help that book convert much better. Better description and better A plus content, more reviews, is all these added together is definitely going to help that book convert much better. And there's one more reason where most publishers will ignore, is simply how your book make your customers feel, right? How do they perceive your book when they're basically having two similar products side by side, right? This is what I call the psychology of book buying. Say, for example, when you have two very similar books, one costs $12.99. The other one costs $9.99. This book, $12.99, with 50 reviews on average of 4.9 stars, right? And the other book that costs $9.99 with zero reviews. In this case, right, product A or this book already has a lot of social proof, right? Because obviously people bought it and then they left reviews. So simply put, buyers will trust this book a lot more compared to the cheaper version or the cheaper product, right? And also, when you're buying something that's, let's say, for example, health and fitness related, um, finance related, most people wouldn't mind paying the small difference between $12.99 and $9.99 to simply get a perceived better product or better quality product, right? Because obviously this 50 reviews is already, enough to prove that this product speaks the volume, right? And so in this case, product A definitely is favored by buyers. Not only that, the Amazon algorithm will see all this positive social proof and data gathered on the backend. Okay, so this is when the buyer has to choose between product A and product B. Obviously, the buyer will have a lot more confidence for product A, right? A lot of publishers seem to overlook at this very, very important factor, because remember, you've got to convince someone to purchase your book almost like within a split second that they see your book. Okay, I'm convinced, add to cart, job done, right? In this case, when product A runs for ads, it has favors from Amazon's algorithm, because you're actually running ads to warm traffic due to these reviews and all these past purchase transactions. And also, when customers are looking for this product, both of these factors is going to help product A convert much better and get more sales compared to product B, simply because product B has, less social proof, and obviously having to convert cold traffic to a purchase is going to be super difficult in this case. So how can you overcome the situation when you simply just launch a book and very, very low conversion rate then? Well, the simple answer is that you just need to build a solid foundation before you even start running ads. But this process actually requires a little bit of patience, and that's when most people just simply decide to skip this process, okay? So, and actually, before you decide to click away or before you decide to say no to this, let me show you the difference between with the foundation and without foundation, and what a successful ad campaign should look like. Okay,
So without the foundation, you're simply going to have very, very low conversion rate. So typically that's around, let's say, 1 to 2% of conversion rate, and you're paying, let's say, 80 cents to $1.50 per click. Very, very high A cost, somewhere between 80 to 150%. Basically, you're losing money for every sale you make. But with this foundation, right, you're going to dramatically increase your conversion rate from 8% to 15%, and your cost per click should be much lower compared to a very low conversion, and somewhere between, let's say, 65 to 80 cents per click. But of course that depends on the niche. I can't just be like, hey, I know every single niche. No, it's just, I'm just giving you a general number so you have the idea. Your A cost should be somewhere between 30 to 50%. That's where you're actually making money for your book. An ideal situation would be your organic sale should be more than your ad sale. In this case, the sweet spot would be starting from 60 to 40%. 60% of sales is organic, 40% is ad sale. In this case, you're making more money by making ads, by running ads, right? So your ad campaign is profitable and sustainable in this situation, right? So what is actually going to be the foundation then? Well, to start with, most people probably are treating the book launching phase as one single process, right? So you upload your ebook, you publish your paperback, and then you start running ads immediately. But what if I tell you you can actually split this into two processes or two phases, right? Phase one is that you're going to simply launch your ebook, and that's it. Your only job in phase one is to get reviews, nothing else. No ads, no paperback. Just launch your ebook, get reviews. And in my situation, or my personal favorite, is to simply get 50 or more verified purchase reviews. Okay, 50 is simply the number where based on my experience, where Amazon starts to take your product more seriously. And of course, due to seasonality, book bounty sometimes can be a little bit slow in terms of getting your books picked up. So in this situation, some people will get mixed a bunch of reviews, right? So you can get verified purchase reviews and regular reviews. Either way, you get to 50 plus reviews. And this process should normally take you about 5 to 6 weeks to complete, right? And then once you get that 50 plus reviews, you simply will just launch your paperback. Remember, even though your ebook and paperback might have different ASIN number, but the reviews is going to carry over to your paperback. And once you have that 50 plus reviews, you're going to start running ads to your paperback immediately. Okay, so remember what we talked about, the buyer psychology, when how people perceive your product, right? How do buyers feel when they see your book, right? In this situation, guess what? From day one of your paperback launch, you already have all this warm traffic, social proof associated with your paperback. This is way better than you just simply running ads to your paperback with like zero reviews, no traffic, no data, right? This is where, like, basically a popular kid in school that's already had this reputation of being a very, very good book, and finally this kid just arrived in school, and you're going to run ads to your paperback this way. And in this situation, it's going to be much more efficient than you simply just go out there and buy cold data from Amazon. Just tell them, hey, my book is live, but you already have something to back up your book. So how does a launch timeline look like then? Well, take Q4 for example, and assuming that you want to publish a book in Q4, right? You actually want to backtrack the entire process and make sure that your ebook is ready by August or September latest. Because normally August and September is a very quiet time on Amazon. Everyone is out of the office or on vacation. But you want to use this time to actually gather reviews for your book, build momentum and index for the keywords. Okay. And I would say that for a typical Q4 book, and because Q4 is super competitive on Amazon, you want to get at least somewhere between 80 to 100 reviews. Okay. Whether it's mixed or completely verified purchase review. Either way, you want to get as many reviews as possible, because by the time it comes to October, and when most people are just simply starting to publish their book or Q4 book in, let's say, mid-October or early November, you, on the other hand, already had all these reviews attached to your book, right? And you can simply just launch your paperback with that many reviews already in place, right? And then you can start running ads to your book and with this warm traffic, right? So in a way that you're going to be more competitive compared to all these other new books on the market, right? Think about how your customers would look at your book compared to other ones. Of course, people are going to pick the book with more reviews and because it's simply more authority in the niche, right? So book launching time is very, very important, in particular when it comes to Q4, when people don't talk about this, but it's going to be very, very helpful in terms of number one, gaining authority in your niche, and also reduce your CPC costs because obviously the more authority you have, the better the conversion and the cheaper the CPC. Okay, so you want to be mindful of this timeline. And I also wanted to mention or clarify something about book bounty. And this question actually came up in my previous video, right? Is book bounty considered as a review swap? The answer is no, right? Review swap is simply person A and B reviews each other's book, right? And Amazon absolutely prohibit this kind of behavior. But if you use book bounty, right? Person A reviews person B's book, person B and C, C and D. As you can see, there's no reciprocal review process, and this is 100% in compliance with Amazon's terms and condition. So you can use book bounty to review. And if you want to know how you can use that, I will leave a link here for my previous video. So make sure to go check that out. And another question is, am I going to lose my Amazon account because I use book bounty to review others' book? And the answer is no. The only time that you're going to get your Amazon account terminated or KDP accounts terminated is when you actually have multiple KDP accounts. That's, say, for example, you are now using one email address to log into your KDP accounts, right? And suddenly you want to have another KDP account. So basically, you use another email address to log on to that KDP account. In this situation, Amazon will absolutely know this is you, and so one person has two different KDP accounts. It doesn't matter if you're using VPN. It doesn't matter if you're using a different email address. Amazon will just simply track you down. And you definitely want to avoid that because once you get into that situation, your account is 100% going to get terminated. It doesn't matter how you appeal to Amazon or get lawyers to help you. You're not going to get any of your royalties back. So make sure to not do that. And under your KDP accounts, you can have 3 pen names, which is more than enough. Okay. So I wanted to clarify that because it seems like a lot of beginners don't understand what book bounty does and has a lot of question about this, but definitely make sure to use book bounty to help you get this number of reviews for your Q4 book so that you can have a successful Q4 launch.
Alright guys, that's it for the end of the video. Always remember there are actually 2 steps when it comes to launching your book, where most publishers probably just mistaken this as one single process. So make sure to watch this video a few times and try to understand the concept and maybe understand the timeline a little bit better, which is going to be super helpful when it comes to launching your next book. Make sure to like this video, share this video, comment below for any questions if you have, subscribe if you haven't. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Until next time.